In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
All right, grade nines. I hope you enjoyed that reading of the poem by Leonard Cohen. You might have heard of him as a musician. So I think it's quite important to firstly go over the format of this poem. Now, McCrae, just for your edification and sort of education, was a doctor. All right, and also at the same time was a Canadian. All right, so if you know anything about Canada, you'll know that Canada is equally French as it is English. And the rondeau is a French form of poetry. It's actually older than the sonnet form. Okay, so this is an example of a rondeau. Let's look at the rhyme scheme quickly. And all rondeaus have exactly the same rhyme scheme. You'll probably have to learn this for your test. We could just ask you for 3 marks to tell us the features of a rondeau. And you see, quite simply, you only have 3 real rhymes in the course of the rondeau. Okay, so we go A, A, B, B, A, A, B, C, A, B, B, A, C. All right, so we have 13. The features of the rondeau are right in the bottom corner here. We have 13 lines. Okay. Your rhyme scheme is always the same. There are 8 syllables per line. And your C rhyme is a refrain. In other words, it's repeated like it would be for a song. Okay, and last one is you have iambic, tetrameter, in terms of the tone of the poem. All right, so let's have a bit of a look here line by line. So McCrae quite likes alliteration. So in the first line you got in Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. Notice there's no break at all, so we've got enjambment quite consistently throughout the whole poem. But 2 important things to notice here are the poppies and the crosses. Okay, so both of these are symbols of, largely now, of death and war. These could be graves, or just, you know, if you think about it, you guys did World War I last year in history. There's very little left often after artillery barrages, so they might just be marking where this battle took place. Okay, in Flanders. Now, Flanders is where? In Belgium. The majority of your massive loss of life took place. Interesting enough, McCrae was at Ypres, which is the big battle you guys learned about. I think 3 or 4 million dead in that course of that conflict in a few months. All right, so between the crosses, row on row, okay, there are many graves here. Many, 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 many graves. All right. I want to come back to the poppies. Now, it's interesting, poppies were symbols of death from the Napoleonic era, even before World War One. Okay, and the symbols of death. And very interestingly enough, they tend to grow because the soil gets churned up and there's a lot of lime. Okay, so they're often only plants that grow after battles in Europe. And you could actually say they're feeding on the manure of the dead. Okay, it's often the blood in the soil that makes these little flowers grow. So yeah, they are symbolic of death and actually feed on death. It's quite macabre for a poem for grade 9, but so be it. Alright, so we're going to Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses row and row, that mark our place. Now, I just want you guys to pay attention to the use of the pronouns. So our speaker in the course of this poem it could be McRae, as unfortunately he died shortly after, about a year or two after this. He died of tuberculosis or pneumonia. All right, so it's McRae. Okay, but it's definitely a dead soldier speaking to us. Here's the speaker. But it could actually be soldiers. Okay, because a lot of these pronouns used in the course of the poem are plural. Okay. So the crosses and the poppies mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amongst the guns below. Alright, so scarce, if I wanted to define scarce as a word, it's something that's quite rare. So the fighting is so rough or so loud and hectic that you can barely even hear the birds singing above. Larks could also refer to people that are anti-war. Okay. So our first stanza sort of, I'm just going to put number 1 here. It introduces the image of the poppy. So it sets the scene, it lays the context. Okay. Alright, moving on. We are the dead. Alright, so dead capitalized. One analysis I read of this poem reckons that is a metaphor. I disagree. I think it's been death is personified here. Okay, these are the dead. There are many of them. Okay, they are legion. So there are many, many dead soldiers. We know this from our knowledge of World War One. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. So what is the poet doing here? Okay, he's personifying. There's a description of the soldiers. He's humanizing them. They're just like you and me. He's trying to create a connection between the reader and the soldiers that have passed away in the course of World War One. Okay, he talks about they lived, they felt dawn, they saw sunset glow. Again, we've got some alliteration here. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. So these are all things that everyone can connect to. So you could say here that he's trying to create empathy. Okay, he wants you to identify with him. Okay, now we have the repetition for the third of line 1 at the end of the stanza in Flanders Fields. So we get to the last stanza, and now we start to see his purpose of this poem. It becomes a call to arms. Okay, this poem is famous for 2 reasons. Firstly, popularizing the poppy as a symbol of World War One, and secondly, it was used as a form of propaganda in Canada, the country he came from, in a way to make men enlist for the war. Okay. Take up our quarrel with the foe. So again, we've got this is the pronouns here quickly. And you sort of have this passing on here from the dead to the living. We start to see the personal pronouns to you, yours, ye. Okay, we still have a bit of us, and he talks here about how it's important for the living to carry on the fight against the enemy. Okay, so foe is enemy. That's one of your 3 vocabulary words in the course of this poem. And also quarrel. quarrel meaning fight. Okay, it's not as much a connection as with World War One, where it was a fight between good and evil, but it's very passionate, and obviously the war effort, a lot of patriotism in World War One, and a lot of national pride. Canada had tremendous losses for the size of its population in comparison to other countries. They had a lot of men that enlisted to fight, and you can probably assume that this poem is a very effective form of propaganda. So I'm just going to write at the bottom here that this is propaganda, and was used very successfully as such. All right. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Okay, so failing, like their dying hands. Okay, and this torch would be the fight. Okay, we need to, if you think about a torch, if you think about the Olympics, you've got the Olympic flame that gets carried from one person to the other, and one person sort of hands the flame on to the next. That's what he's talking about here. So as we're dying, we're passing on this torch to you, the living, to hold it high. Okay, I think hold it high there would be to value and realize the importance. So it's an importance of the fight. It's necessary. It must happen. Okay, I need to defeat the enemies. And now here's some tremendous emotional manipulation. If you break faith with us, okay, so if you break faith, it's like you break a vow, okay, or you betray someone's trust. Break faith with us, you die. Okay, so he gets very manipulative here in his last couple of lines. We shall not sleep. Okay, so they will not rest. Okay, they won't find peace. So in this line, the poet is manipulation. It's manipulation. Okay, and you can see his purpose here. He's trying to encourage people to enlist, to continue the fight, because there was tremendous loss of life. And how do you replace loss of life? With more soldiers. Okay, so it's playing on people's emotions. Nothing sad in this notion of people not resting, particularly those that have died violently. So it's pulling on the heartstrings of people at the time back home to enlist, get over there, and to assist the fight in Europe against the evil Germans. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field. Okay, so again, the poppies grow, and the poppies are fed by death, as I said before. But secondly, if we know anything about poppies, is that it was used to make opium, okay, and a lot of modern painkillers, such as morphine as well. So you could actually say that the poppies are symbolizing the bringing of rest. Because we talk about death, often it is just sleep. Okay, sort of it's seen as symbolically as being asleep before you ascend to heaven for eternal rest. Okay, so it's this rest, and then of course the Christian faith is that there will be a resurrection at the end, and all the dead will rise and go to heaven. Okay, so the poppy working on two levels there, one symbolizing sleep, and also then the death that literally is fed by the blood in the soil. Okay, so that is all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoy doing the questions on this poem, and this was the last one for the term.